good evening and welcome to this live session on data interpretation for IBPS exams brought to you by TalentSprint. I hope all of you are healthy and so is your preparation for all these upcoming exams announced by IBPS, right? You all must be aware that IBPS PO and IBPS clerks application dates are already closed, right? The registration is already closed and I'm sure all of you would have completed your application well in time and your preparation for the same is in high gear. And over that, recently IBPS announced the notification for RRBs, which was not expected because if you remember, the calendar that IBPS had released earlier this year did not mention anything about RRBs, right? So it is in one way a surprise that RRBs recruitment is also going to happen this year through IBPS. The application for this exam, IBPS RRB, starts today, right? 14th September to 30th September. And huge opportunity, I think around 8,800 assistants jobs and 5,500 officers jobs. So about 15,000 vacancies to be filled this year, right? So I think three big exams coming your way: IBPS POs, IBPS clerks and IBPS RRBs, which again is for both officers as well as clerks, right? So hope you're all geared up to take up all these exams. Your preparation is going fine and these live sessions that we conduct every Wednesday are also helping you. And today's session again will add a great value to your preparation because this is about a very important part in quantitative aptitude section of your exams, and that is data interpretation, right? You know that the weightage of this topic is quite high in bank exams, right? Especially in the IBPS exam. So it is very important that you are you are ready with this topic, right? You're thoroughly prepared with this topic and you know all the concepts properly and practice as much as you can, right? So I think that's what we are going to trigger today with this session. But before we actually get into the discussion, let me quickly get an update from you guys as to how's your preparation going on. I see a lot of you have already joined the chat. Kirti, Priya, Vikram Reddy, SP, right? Vikram Reddy says that even RBI assistant is going on. Yes, even that's in line of these exams. Then we have Dhruv Kumar and we have Priya. Sorry about this bad throat that I'm going through. Then we have Upadhyay, Sailesh Kumar, Augustin, Manasa, Priyanka, Naina Agarwal. So good evening guys, welcome to this session. I'm sure many of you are regular participants of these live sessions that we conduct every Wednesday. And looking at the responses, I see that the preparation is going good, right? Some of you have mentioned that preparation is going fine, right? Satyam says it's going fine. Kirti Priya says it's going very well. Then Manikandan says well and good. I used to practice a lot every day. Good. So I think like I was mentioning that I think many of you are regular participants of our live sessions, weekly live sessions, which we do on Wednesday. So if you remember, the last 5 sessions that we had done were specific to IBPS PO exam, right? We started with those 5 habits that you need to kick out of your life so that you can boost your score. Then we had a session on 4 ways to solve questions from quantitative aptitude, 3 topics to focus in English, 2 things to avoid in reasoning, then that 1 objective to achieve, which is the IBPS PO exam. But I would like to mention that those 5 sessions that we had done, though were done for the sake of IBPS PO exam, but they are actually applicable for all the other exams as well, right? 4 ways to solve questions from aptitude is applicable not only for IBPS PO but also for clerks and RRB exams. So the point is, I would suggest you all to just go through those videos if you haven't attended those live sessions. These are all available in our YouTube channel and get to know what we had covered there, right? And whatever we are going to discuss today again is going to help you in all these 3 exams, right? So we had discussed some very important points to these live sessions, like especially when it comes to quantitative aptitude. I had repeatedly mentioned that all of you need to focus on your calculation ability, right? Most of us fail to realize that calculation is a key to score more in quantitative aptitude, right? we think that we need to learn more and more shortcut formulae. We have to practice as many questions as possible. We should know all the smart methods. All these are true. I don't deny that you should not know this, but then the point is there's something more important, which is your calculations. So focus on your calculations, spend at least 45 minutes to 60 minutes every day so that you can actually boost your score in the exam. All right. Any number of shortcut formulae that you know will not help unless you can actually execute that in very quick time there. All right. So keep that in mind, that calculation is very, very important for quantitative aptitude, and especially for what we are going to discuss today, data interpretation. Now, what is data interpretation? There's some data given to you, find data in the form of a table or a line graph or bar graphs, which are also called as histograms. Then there can be pie charts, there can be mixed graphs, there can be a spider graph or a spider web kind of a graph, right? So variety of graphs or pictorial representations can be used to present the data. Now we need to understand what is given in the data and answer the questions followed by it. If you really look at the questions that are asked, they're all very simple, right? Mostly from topics of averages, ratios, and percentages, right? Again, percentage is very, very important when it comes to data interpretation. But then for solving any of these 5 questions, you need to do some or the other calculation, right? I mean, it's just about playing with numbers. The question will talk about some parameters. You have to choose the values from the given data there, do the required simplification, and mark the answer. So, I'm again repeating myself that calculation is very, very important, right, for quantitative aptitude and especially in data interpretation. It is really going to play a key role in your ability to score quickly in this particular subject here. All right, so keep your focus on calculations, practice every day, and get ready for all these exams. See, Kirti Priya says I'm very bad in calculations and some topics in quant. I think, see, if you are not really well prepared for some topics, it is okay. That can be done even 1 month from now. I mean, even 1 month later. But what really cannot be done after a month from now is improving your calculation, right? So let's say if you have not gone through the topic of permutations and combinations yet, don't worry, don't panic. You can do that after 1 week, right? Or you can do that in 1 week before the exam. Ideally, you should avoid that. You should prepare at the earliest possible and practice as much as you can. But the point that I'm trying to make is learning a shortcut formula or learning a concept won't take any time, right? What actually needs to be done really in a really planned way is to work on your calculations, and that has to start from now. If you haven't really done it, start it from now. Okay. So I just hope that all those who had attended the session in the past have started working on their calculations, and I'm sure they will see or they will feel the difference in a few days from now. Okay. Now, let us quickly start working on what we have planned for today, data interpretation. So like I've mentioned, the key is calculations. What we'll do is quickly look at the basics of data interpretation. What kind of questions are asked? What kind of formulae do we need to use? What are the concepts of percentages which can help us solve these questions faster, or which can actually which are actually needed to solve the questions, and then take up one example and discuss that data interpretation question there to see it how we can actually apply that. All right, so shall we start that? Yeah, I think I can see that some of you want me to do a question on missing data interpretation. Missing data interpretation meaning there's a question that was asked last year in SBIPO where the data was not complete, right? Some cells were empty in the given tabular form, but then data would be given indirectly in the question there, which we need to use along with the data given in the table to solve the given question. But I think we don't have or will not be taking up that kind of a question in the session today. We'll meet again, right? Like I said, we do these sessions weekly once. So when we meet next time for quantitative aptitude, we'll probably take up a question on that format as well. Okay. But don't worry. I mean, that's not at all complex. I mean, it just looks to be different. I mean, it is like, it appears to be complex because some values are missing. But indirectly, those values will be given to you in the question itself. So combination of these two will anyway give you the answer required. Okay. Yeah, look at what Avinash Singh says, right? Missing data interpretation questions are very easy. Just read the tables carefully. So that's what we need to do. Okay. So I think time now to share the screen. I'll share the screen with you, present some questions which we will solve in the session today. But before that, let us quickly understand the basics. So like I've mentioned, there are 3 important topics, right? One is average, then there is ratio, and the third one is percentage, right? And percentage, of course, is the most important part of it, because there are lots of concepts in percentages which are tested through data interpretation. Like, for example, X is what percent of Y, X is what percentage more or less than Y, right? What is the percentage change between two given values? What is the percentage increase between, in the profit of a company from a particular year to some other year? So all these questions from data interpretation can be answered when you know the concept thoroughly. So we'll understand the concept first and then solve a few questions. So sharing my screen now. So you can see the topic is data interpretation for IBPS exams or any exam for that matter, right? So let us start. So, like I mentioned, what are the different topics that you need to focus on? One is average, then ratio, and percentage. These are the three topics which are generally tested through data interpretation. Of course, there can be questions which involve simple addition of some values or difference between two values and so on. But as such, the concepts are average, ratio, and percentage, right? Now, let us look at a simple table. Let's say a simple table is given which talks about population of a country from 2001 to 2015 or 2011 to 2015, right? I'm just taking a very simple case. This is years, and let's say population or profit of a company, right? So 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, and 2015, right? So we are trying to understand the different types of questions that can be asked under data interpretation. So let us take some values like for example 45 crores, then 52 crores, 46 crores, 72 crores, and then let's say 96 crores, right? All the values are given in crores, let's say. So that's the data given to you, right? Now, very simple, very easy to understand, right? You know that the first point is, or the first step is to understand the given data carefully. So there's a very simple data which talks about the profit of a company from 2011 to 2015, and the profit is given here in crores of rupees, right? So for example, what is the profit of company in the year 2013? 46 crores. Likewise, if it has to be made complex, they can talk about three companies. This is profit of company A, then there can be one more column giving the profit of company B, then a fourth column giving the profit of company C, and so on. Okay. Now, there can be very simple questions like find out the total profit of this company over the years. So you simply have to take the sum of these values. He can ask you to find out the profit of sum of the profits in two particular years, like what are the total profit in 2012 and 2014 together, or maybe he'll ask you to find out the difference between profits in two particular years and so on, which are very easy, nothing complex about it. But these are the three other topics which can be tested. Now, average, you know the concept of average, right? Average is basically an equal distribution. If you go through our video on average that is available in the online platform, you would know that average is, in simple words, an equal distribution. All right. Of course, the formula that we all know is sum of all the values by number of values, but we use a different concept to solve the questions from averages, which is very, very easy to apply and time saving. However, how can average be tested to data interpretation? He can simply ask you to find out the average of the profit of this company. Average profit is profit of this company over the years. So what do? Take the sum of all these values divided by number of values, which is 5. So 45 plus 52 plus 46 plus 72 plus 96 divided by 5, or average of few years, like what is the average profit of the company from 2012 to 2014. All right. Again, you see, I'm just discussing the very basic of how the question can be presented. It can be made complex. Like I said, he can give you the profit of three companies. Let's say this is profit of company A. Then there's one column giving you the profit of company B and another column giving the profit of company C. So you can ask you to find out the average profit of company A in 2012 with company B in 2014 and company C in 2011. So you have to choose the values accordingly, right? You have to choose the values accordingly and find out the average. So average, in my view, is very simple concept which is tested here. Next is ratio. Ratio, what is ratio? Comparison of two values in the simplest form, right? How do we compare two values? Using ratios. So ratio, in simple words, is a comparison of two similar values in its simplest form. So he can ask you to find out the average, he can ask you to find out the ratio of the profit of company A in 2011 versus 2013. So the profit of 2011 is 45 crores, 2013 is 46 crores. Ratio would be 45:46. Again, this is one very simple question there. It can be made complex, like find out the ratio of the total profit of company A and total profit of company B. So there, a lot of calculations would be involved. First, you'll have to find out the total profit of company A over these years. Then find out the total profit of company B over the years, and then take the ratio between those two values. Or find out the ratio of profit of company A in 2012, 13, and 14, and profit of company C in 2011, 12, and 15. So choose the values accordingly, take the totals, and then find out the ratio. So that's again about ratio, simple. Now, what is different here is percentage, because percentage in simple words is what? Out of 100, per 100, but then there are different concepts in percentages which can be tested here in data interpretation. So let us discuss about each one of those concepts, right? I'll clear this out and get some space so that I can write the equations here. Let us understand those formulae or the concepts first, and then look at one example. Now, concept number 1, percentage. He can ask you a question which will be in the form of X is what percentage of Y, or X is what percent of Y. This, in my view, is a very, very important concept from percentage, and many questions in data interpretation are based on this format, right? Where he says X is what percentage of Y. X is what percent of Y. How do you solve this? Anyone there? X is what percent of Y. I'm sure most of you know about this, right? X by Y into 100. Yes. Shubhajit Chandra says X by Y into 100. Upadhyay also said it should be X by Y into 100. So that's what we need to do. X by Y into 100, right? X upon Y into 100. Now, how will this be asked in this particular case, in this table where he's talking about profit of a company? What will he say? The profit of the company A in 2011 is what percentage of the profit of the same company in 2014. So profit of A in 2011 is what percentage of the profit in 2014. So if you try to map the question with this equation, profit of A in 2011 is like X is what percent of the profit of company A in 2014, which is Y. So X is the profit in 2011, which is 45 crores. Y is the profit in 2014, which is 72 crores. We have to find out X is what percent of Y. So 45 by 72 into 100, right? X by Y into 100. X by Y into 100, right? So very, very important concept. X is what percent of Y. You should take it as X by Y into 100. The same thing can be asked in different forms, right? Like for example, instead of saying X is what percent of Y, he can say what percent of Y is X. What percent of Y is X? What percent of Y is X? What percent of Y is X? It will be same, X by Y into 100. See, X is what percent of Y or what percent of Y is X. Both are same. You getting it? It's like, what is your name? Your name is what? You understand? There's no difference, right? The answer will not change. So, what percent of Y is X? What percent of Y is X? X by Y into 100. Right? Or there's one more way of testing this, right? He can say what percent is X of Y. What percent is X of Y? X by Y into 100. X by Y into 100. Or I can say in all the three cases, you just have to go by X by Y into 100. Right? What percent is X of Y? What percent is X of Y? What do you do? X by Y into 100. Right? X by Y into 100. What percent is X of Y? So, the same question that we had solved earlier. He can say, what percent of the profit in 2014 is the profit in 2011? Or what percent is the profit of 2011 with respect to the profit in 2014? Or this of can be replaced with respect to. So, basically, the same concept can be asked in different forms. X is what percent of Y, what percent of Y is X, and what percent is X of Y. Now, to avoid confusion, what you can simply remember here is, what comes in the denominator. I mean, we need to focus on what comes in numerator and what comes in denominator. That clarity has to be there. So just remember, whatever is followed by of, in all these three cases, if you observe, whatever is followed by of, that goes in the denominator, right? X is what percent of Y. So it's like out of Y, of Y, from Y. X is what portion of Y, or X is what fraction of Y. That's the idea. So of Y, right? That Y goes in the denominator, right? Whatever is followed by of, that goes in the denominator. See this one? What percent of Y is X? So of Y, right? Y goes in the denominator. What percent is X of Y? X by Y into 100, right? So of Y again. So that's the technique, right? Whatever is followed by of, you just take that in the denominator. Clear? So that's concept number one. Let's look at the other concept. Second concept here is X is what percent more or less than Y. X is what percent more or less than Y. So how do you answer this? X is what percent more or less than Y? We should take it as X minus Y by Y into 100. This again is very important, right? It is usually asked in line graphs and bar graphs, right? X is what percentage more or less than Y. What do we do? X minus Y by Y into 100. So the first value is what percentage more or less than the second value. So first value minus second value divided by second value into 100. Again here understand, focus on the denominator. See, we are comparing X, basically X is how much more or less than Y. Forget about percentage. If percentage is not given, what happens? X is what more or less than Y, or X is how much more or less than Y. So basically the difference of X and Y. We have to find out the difference of X and Y. So we can say X minus Y is the answer. But since he's talking about percentage, and you know that percentage is with respect to some other value, right? Out of 100. Percentage is out of 100. But here our base value is Y. We are comparing with Y, right? We are comparing the difference. X is what percentage more or less than Y. Than Y means what? With respect to Y. So that is the reason Y goes in the denominator here, right? So in other words, you can say this is like difference by Y into 100. Whenever he's asking us to find out the percentage difference between two values, or like X is what percentage more or less than Y, you simply take the difference of those two values divided by Y, the one which we are comparing with, right? With respect to what? With respect to Y into 100. Right? So X is what percentage more or less than Y? X minus Y by Y into 100. Remember, question can also be asked simply as X is what percentage more than Y? X minus Y by Y into 100. X is what percentage less than Y? X minus Y by Y into 100. Or sometimes they say X is what percentage more or less than Y. So you have to find out, is it 20% more or 20% less? Or is it 36% more or 36% less? Whatever be the magnitude. Right? When the question is given in this form, you also have to decide, is it actually percentage more or percentage less? If simply more is given, obviously it will be more. If simply X is what percentage less than Y is given, it will be less. But when more or less both are given, you have to decide not just the magnitude but also the sign, but also if it is more or less. How do you do that? Based on the sign. Remember, when you take X minus Y, the difference here, you may get a positive or a negative value. It can be plus or minus. Right? It all depends on whether X is more than Y or less than Y. So X minus Y can give you a positive or a negative result. If it is positive, if you get a positive value, the simplification results in a positive value, it means it is more, right? Positive. So it is more. If you get a negative value, don't panic. It can be negative also, right? Like for example, when you do the simplification of X is what percentage more or less than Y, you may get minus 18%. Now what does that minus sign indicate there? It is 18% less. So getting a negative answer means X is less than Y. If you get a positive answer, it means X is more than Y. Alright. Now, the third concept, which is again similar to the second one, but presented in a different way. Percentage change. This again is very, very important, right? We have to check the percentage change between two values. He can talk about any two values from the given data, right? Whether it is a table form or line graph or bar graph or pie chart, he may ask us to find out the percentage change between two particular values. How do you get that? Percentage change. Remember, it's simple. Percentage change is nothing but I'll present it differently here. We'll call it as final value minus initial value by initial value into 100. Final minus initial by initial into 100. Now there is a reason why I am giving it as final minus initial. I'll explain that to you in a while, but just note it. Final value minus initial value by initial value into 100. Or simply, you can take it as difference. See, any percentage calculation will involve two values. So you take the difference of those two values upon the initial value into 100. So the percentage change between two values should be measured as final value minus initial value upon initial value into 100. That's a very important concept and very commonly asked question from data interpretation. Like for example, look at this data. He can say that find out the percentage change in the profit of the company from 2012 to 2014. Find the percentage change in the profit of the company from 2012 to 2014. See, the profit of the company is changing, right? In 2012 it was 52. In 2014 it has become 72. So how much is the change? 20 crores is the change. 52 crores has become 72 crores. So how much is the change? 20 crores. But then he's talking about percentage change. So the moment you talk about percentage or you involve percentage, there has to be a denominator, right? It is with respect to some other value, right? A base value. And that base value is nothing but the initial value. You getting it? So the percentage change in the profit of the company from 2012 to 2014 very clearly indicates that the initial value is 2012's profit and the final value is 2014's profit. So final minus initial by initial value into 100. What do you do? Final value is 72, initial value is 52 divided by 52 into 100. Right? Final minus initial, or simply the difference between the two values upon the initial value. Right? I mean, it is obvious that 2012's profit is the initial value multiplied by 100. Alright? So final minus initial by initial into 100. Clear to all of you? But sometimes you may say, find out the percentage change in the profit of the company in the year 2014. See here, in the first example that we have taken, both the years were clearly specified, 2012 and 2014. So we know that initial value is the profit in 2012, final value is the profit in 2014. But sometimes he may simply say, find the percentage change in the profit in the year 2014. Find the percentage change in the profit in the year 2014. Now only 1 year is given to you. In that case, what do you do? Find the percentage change in the profit in the year 2014. In that case, what do you do? Remember, if only 1 year is specified, you just take it for granted that the percentage change is being calculated with respect to the previous value or with respect to the previous year. So when he says, find out the percentage change in the profit in the year 2014, you should just assume that it is with respect to previous year, which is 2013. So 2013 will become the initial value and 14's value will become the final value. So in that case, initial value is 46 crores, final value is 72 crores. You're getting it? Always do it with respect to the previous year. If it is not explicitly mentioned, consider the previous year. Consider the initial value as the previous year, right? Always the change is, usually the change is calculated with respect to previous year. Unless it is specified that find out the change of 2014 with respect to 2012, like in the earlier case. But if it is not specified, then simply take with respect to the previous year. So suppose I say, find out the percentage change in the population of India in the year 2016. Now when you say population change in the year 2016, percentage change in the year 2016, it has to be with respect to 2015. So 2015's population would be the initial value. 2016's population will become the final value. Just use the same concept, final value minus initial value by initial value into 100. Alright? And there is another way in which this can be asked. The same percentage change can be asked. He'll say, find out the percentage change in the profit of the company over the years. He has not specified any particular year there. He says, find out the percentage change in the profit of company A over the years. Now what do you mean by over the years? Over the years is over this time period. Now in the given table, it starts with 2011 and ends with 2015. So when you say over the years, you have to just take the first year as the initial year and the last year as the final year. So in that case, the initial value will be 2011's profit and final value will be the 2015's profit. Is that clear to all of you? So we'll say 96 minus 45 by 45 into 100. Now how we do the calculation is a different story. I don't say that you have to use the formula always. If you are smart in calculation, you can do it in even without using the formula. But then concept is this: percentage change is final minus initial by initial into 100. Okay, I think someone says that 2 and 3 look similar and it's confusing. I have already told you that percentage change is similar to 2. Both of these are similar. The reason I am segregating these two here is because the way the question is asked in data interpretation. X is what percentage more or less than Y is also like percentage change only between two values with respect to Y here. We have clearly said with respect to Y. But in data interpretation, you see that many a times questions are asked based on changes from one point to the other point. So that is the reason you better take it as final value minus initial value by initial value into 100. Right? I mean, the basic difference between 2 and 3 is 2 is with respect to two values. X is what percentage more or less than Y. 3 is with respect to a time period, like percentage change from one particular year to the other year. Percentage change over the years, right? Or percentage change in a particular year. So there what happens is you should, you better remember it as final minus initial by initial into 100 so that you don't get confused as to what is Y. Right? Y here in this case is the initial value, right? Change is always with respect to initial value. Whenever you are measuring a change, it should always be with respect to initial value. Clear? So like I said, 3 ways of asking percentage change, right? The percentage change from 2012 to 2015. So 2012's profit is initial value, 2015's profit is final value. The percentage change in the year 2014. So when only 1 year is given, it is with respect to the previous year. So 2014's profit will be the final value, 2013's profit will be the initial value. And the percentage change over the years. The third type is percentage change over the years. Over the years is nothing but from first year to the last year, or over the period, simply over the period. Sometimes the data may be, the sales of a company over the months, from March to September or from March to November, right? From March to November. So what do you do in that case? Find out the percentage change in the profit over the months, or percentage change in the sales over the months. So March should be taken as the initial month. September or November, whatever is the last month, has to be taken as the final month. And respective values can be used in the formula to arrive at the answer. So I think if you know these concepts, one is how to find average, how to measure average. Second is the ratio. And the third is these concepts of percentages that we have discussed here. You should be able to answer all the questions from data interpretation without any difficulty. Of course, calculation is a very important part of it, that I assume that you will do it yourself. But with respect to the concept, yes, this is what you need to know. These are the basic concepts that you need to know when you start solving questions from data interpretation. Again, depending on the way the data is presented, different types of questions can be asked. I mean, we've just taken the basic idea here. These days we find that the data is given in different forms, right? A table mixed with a line graph, or a pie chart mixed with a table, right? Or a pie chart along with a line graph. So understanding the data is very, very important, right? The first thing that you always do is understand that what can be extracted from the given data, right? What kind of values can be calculated from the given data? What kind of parameters can be found from the given data? Once you are clear with that, answering these questions would be a cakewalk, right? Provided you are, again, strong in calculations. Okay? So is that understood, all of you? Can we proceed now? Proceed with an example. I don't think we have enough time left. We are already at 6:35. We'll have to close the session in another 15-20 minutes. Rupi says, please solve this question, which is, I think, one from allegations and mixtures. Rupi, I am afraid that I'll not be able to take it up now. You have to join our problem solving sessions, which are done on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays, right? Every Tuesday, every Thursday and every Saturday. Post the question in our forum, discussion forums, and we will solve it live in the problem solving session there. Okay. So let's now move on to an example. I think we have one interesting question here which talks about production of cars, distribution of cars which are produced by the Maruti company in 2 different years. Basically, these are 2 pie charts. So let me first present the data to you. I want all of you to just focus on this, understand what all can be calculated from this, what all can be arrived from the given data, and then we'll discuss the questions one after the other. Okay. Yeah, I think Shruti has asked an important question here. She says, how to approach for income, expenditure, profit questions in data interpretations. That again is an important question type. Understand, Shruti? There again, the type of questions that are asked will be from percentages, averages and ratio only. I mean, the question type will not change. What changes is the concept, the kind of data that is being used there. He'll talk about, expenditure and income of a company. It is usually given in line graphs. I'm sure you are referring to one line graph that you have seen somewhere, right? So one graph talks about income of a company, the other one talks about expenditure of a company, and we have to find out the percentage profit and things like that, which is similar to profit and loss. Of course, if you look at our data interpretation video that we have, the full video that we have discussed one such example there, because that's a little different from the regular questions that are asked, right? So you can go and watch that video, right? If you have access to our program, you can go and watch that video of data interpretation where you have discussed about, expenditure and income based questions. Okay. Now let me quickly share the data with all of you. Share the question here with all of you. So this is what is given here, right? It says read the following pie chart carefully and answer the questions given below. So 5 questions are asked along with this data. Let us first understand the data here. So what does it talk about? Distribution of cars produced by Maruti company. So there are 2 pie charts, right? There are 2 pie charts. The first pie chart here talks about the production in 2011. See, it says total production in 2011 is 128,500, right? 1,28,500. And then there is a pie chart. How many sectors are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sectors, right? 5 different types of cars basically. Maruti Gypsy, Maruti Esteem, Maruti 800, Maruti Zen and Maruti Omni. and the percentage distribution of these cars is given to us. Like 10% of the cars produced were Maruti Gypsy, 20% of the cars produced in 2011 were Maruti Esteem, 25% of the cars were Maruti 800, then 30% and 15% were Zen and Omni respectively. Alright. So let's say if I ask you how many Maruti Zens were produced in the year 2011, what do you say? 30%. 30% of what? 30% of the total value, right? Total is always given, right? Usually with pie charts, the total is given to you, right? So here the total is 1,28,500. So the number of Maruti Zens produced in 2011 will be 30% of 1,28,500. Now it is important as to how do you calculate this, right? That's what I told you, right? If you are not so strong in calculations, or if you are weak in calculations, then you end up wasting a lot of time here, right? How do you do this? If you start doing 30 by 100 into 1,28,500, 0 and 0 get cancelled, then maybe 1,285 into 30 or into 3 and then multiply with 10. If you do all this drama in the exam, then you will be left behind, right? You have to be very quick in your calculation. So how do you do that? Again, speed maths or Vedic mathematics comes into picture, right? You have to be very sharp there. You just take 10%. 100% is 1,28,500. Remember, whatever is given to us in the beginning is the 100% value. 100% will be given to us. And that's the breakup. So if 100% is 1,28,500, 30% is what? Now we very well know that if 100% is this, 10% will be what? 12,850. 10% is 12,850. 30% will be 12,850 into 3. So 36,000 plus 2,400 plus 150. So I would say 38,400 plus 150, 38,550. Again, because I am reading it out, trying to tell it out, it is taking so much of time. When I have to do it mentally, I'll save a few more seconds, right? I mean, same is applicable to you guys, like 15% of this value. Now, what is important is how do you calculate this 15%? Do you do it on paper or without paper? A smart person will do it without paper. See, 15% is nothing but 10% plus 5%. Which are both easy to calculate, right? 10% is how much? 12,850. If 10% is 12,850, 5% will be half of it, calculating which is not difficult, right? Half of 12,850, 6,425. Now club these two values, you will get the 15% equivalent. So 12,000 plus 6,000, 18,000. 800 plus 400, 1,200. So 19,275. So 19,275 will be the value. Again, because I am explaining it to you, it is taking a little longer, right? When you do it yourself, mentally, you will be able to get the answer much faster. So calculation is definitely going to play a key role for you to solve these questions. Now look at the second pie chart. There is one more pie chart given to us which says percentage increase in 2012. See, the total production of 2011 was given to us 1,28,500. The second pie chart says percentage increase in 2012 is 40%. The increase in the production obviously in 2012 is 40%. Which means what is the total of 2012? It will be 1,28,500 plus 40% of 1,28,500. Yes or no? The increment is 40%. So whatever they produced in the previous year, add 40% of that to itself to get the new value. Or you know that this is like 100% plus 40%, right? 40% of what? 40% of the same value, right? 1,28,500. So instead of taking it as 1,28,500 plus 40% of 1,28,500, you can also say this is like 140% of 1,28,500, or simply 1.4 into 1,20,500, because this is 100% and this is 40%. 100% plus 40%, 140%. Alright. Now don't start calculating what actually is 140% of 1,28,500 and then these individual values. Many students ask this question to me, that is it good to first find out all the values and then go to the questions. So find out all these 5 values, then find out the new value here, and again do the breakup and then proceed with the questions. This, in my view, would be a waste of time. Never do that, because after solving all the 5 questions, you will realize that half of these values are not needed at all. So why should we waste our time in actually solving or doing all these calculations first and then going for the questions? First look at the questions, right? First look at the question. Choose find out what is to be chosen from the data. Like for example, the first question may ask us to use Maruti Esteem in 2011 and Maruti Zen in 2012. Solve only for those 2 values. Find out only those 2 values and use it in the calculation, right? So don't waste your time in finding out all the values in the beginning itself, if at all that's your idea, right? Never do that. Look at the question, choose whatever is needed, and only work on those values. Clear? So I think that's about the data. Very clear. We can find out the different types of cars produced in 2011 and different types of cars produced in 2012. All right. Let's look at the questions now. So I'll present the questions to you one after the other. I'll give you 1 minute per question, and then look at the solution. Okay. So here's the first one. Look at the first one. The first question says the number of Maruti Gypsy in 2012 is what percent of the number of Maruti S-Team in 2011? The number of Maruti Gypsy in 2012 is what percent of the number of Maruti S-Team in 2011? Now do this calculation. Now first of all, which format is this? Of course, this is a percentage based question, right? The question involves the word percentage. But which of those three models? X is what percent of Y, X is what percentage more or less than Y, or percentage change? Very clearly, X is what percentage of Y. Because see, the number of Maruti Gypsy in 2012 is like X is what percent of the number of Maruti S-Team in 2011 is like Y. So X is what percent of Y. X is what percent of Y. X by Y into 100. So you need to now find out what is Maruti Gypsy in 2012, then Maruti S-Team in 2011 from the two pie charts, and do the calculation. So I'll give you 1 minute for this, and your time starts now. Let me tell you, it actually takes not more than 30 seconds. But since we are doing it over a digital medium, I'll give you a little longer. Okay, so I think most of you have got the answer is 35%, which is option 3. Waiting for a few more responses before we look at the solution. Alright. So all of you have got that, right? 35%. And I'm sure all of you have done it in a smart way, right? Like the first thing that you need to understand is we have to work on the number of Maruti Gypsies in 2012. So number of Maruti Gypsies in 2012, how do you get that? 5%. Number of Maruti Gypsies in 2012 is 5%. I mean the share is 5%. 5% of what? The total value, which again is 140% of 1,20,500. So you can simplify that. Then the number of Maruti S-Team in 2011, right? Number of Maruti S-Team in 2011. The number of Maruti S-Team in 2011, how do you get? The share of S-Team is 20%. 20% of what? 1,20,500. So find that value. And then use in the formula X by Y into 100. But a smart person would not actually find out the values there for solving this one. Remember, always put down the whole equation. I mean, put down the full equation without doing any simplifications. And only after everything has been put in the right form, you go for simplifications. Like we know that here, the answer should be, Gypsy in 2012 by, again, don't write this in the exam. Gypsy in 2012, S-Team in 2011 and all that. Right? Don't waste your time. You will not be awarded extra marks for that. I am writing it so that I can explain it to you clearly, right? Cut this out in the exam. So Gypsies in 2012, right? How many Gypsies in 2012? Gypsies in 2012, 5%. Don't simplify, that's what I'm saying. Write it as it is. 5% of 140% of 1,28,500 divided by S-Team in 2011. How many Maruti S-Teams in 2011? 20%. 20% of how much? 1,28,500. X by Y into 100. This multiplied by 100. Are you able to follow? Now what is the advantage? 1,20,500 in numerator and denominator will get cancelled. Of course, you need not even write these values. If you really look at it, when you finish reading the question, you should know that this 128500 is not going to make any difference. So you should not even put that on paper. Because if you really look at it, writing 1,28,500 will take at least 2 seconds, and that you have written here 2 times, so 4 seconds, and then you have cancelled both these values, maybe another second. So you're spending about 5 seconds in doing something which is not needed at all. You getting it? And 5 seconds is valuable in my view, right? So a smart person will not even write any of these things. Again, you know that percentage and percentage will get cancelled, right? And this percentage will get cancelled with 100. So finally what is needed is 5 into 140 upon 20. Now 20 here goes 7 times, 5 sevens is 35. So your answer should be 35%, which is option 3. So I'm glad that all of you have got the right answer, but you have to check yourself as to how many steps did you put on paper, right? How will you solve it in the exam? Gypsy in 2012. Gypsy in 2012 is 5 into 140 divided by esteem in 2011. Esteem in 2011 is 20 into 100, and that 100 will get cancelled with the actual 100. That's it. This is what you put on paper in the exam and mark the answer as 35. Clear? Do not write 128,500, See, I am not saying that you'll write it intentionally, but it has become a habit. For many of us, it has become a habit. We cannot, complete the solution without writing everything. So you have to kick that habit out. That's what I told in the first session, in a class about 5-6 weeks ago, right? Remember, I told you about 5 habits that you have to kick in the exam. Right? 5 habits that you have to kick in the exam. You have to kick this habit of writing everything on paper. Right? You should not put pen on paper. You should never put pen on paper. It's a waste of time, utter waste of time. And the problem is not that we are wasting our time. The problem is we don't realize that we are wasting our time. Right? The bigger problem is we don't even know that time is getting wasted. And so we don't even act upon it. You can take an action only when you know that there is some problem. But we feel that writing that was important, so we have written it, which is not the case. Right? So I don't know how many of you have actually done it in a lengthy way. I could see one person mentioning that I did all the calculations on paper, but it's not needed. Right? Don't put unnecessary steps on paper. Let's look at the next one. Here comes the next question. What is the total number of Maruti Zen in 2011 and 12? Now this is something where you need to do your calculation. So do that. The total number of Maruti Zen in 11 and 12. Maybe 1 more minute for this. Your time starts now. I'm surprised that some of you have skipped it, because I thought this is not complex at all, right? Shubhajit Chandra says he'll skip it. Not needed. You see, all others have got the answer, right? Everybody's got 83525, except Amit, who says it is 96375. But then 96375 is not there in the options at all, Amit. So it is anyway a wrong answer. 83525. So if all others are able to solve it, I'm sure those who have skipped can also do it. What do we do? Look at it. What is the total number of Maruti Zen in 2011 and 12? Now Maruti Zen in 2011, 30% off, 1,28,500. Maruti Zen in 2012, 25% off, 140% off, 1,20,500. Alright. So take the total now, 30% off 128,500 plus 25% off 140% off 128,500. Now I'm sure all of you understand why we are taking 140% of 128,500. Right? We have already discussed about this in the introduction part of this question. Now what is important is how do you simplify these things? If you start finding out what is 140% of this and then take 25% of that value and add it to 30% of this value, you are wasting your time. Right? What will a smart person do? He will take 1,28,500 common. Right? So he'll say in the first year it is 30%, plus in the second year it is 25% of 140%. Now here comes this concept of percentage, right? X percent of Y percent. We have discussed this in our videos, right? X percent of Y percent. How do you calculate X percent of Y percent? It is XY by 100%. Many times it is useful, right? Like in this case, 25% of 140%. So you just take 25% of 140% first of all. Instead of taking 140% of 1,28,500, take 25% of 140%. How much will that be? You know that 25% is 1/4. 1/4 of 140% is 35%. So this comes out to be 35%. Again, this can be done mentally. This calculation, 25% of 140% can be done mentally also. So you know that in the first year it is 30%, in the second year it is 25% of 140, which is 35%. So overall it should be 65%. 65% of 1,28,500. Simplify this and you'll get your answer. Of course, simplification when you do, you'll get the answer as 83,525. And again, simplification is your lookout. That's what I'm telling you, right? Formula or the shortcut formula is not important. How do you do these calculations is important. If you're not good in calculation, you'll waste a lot of time in doing the simplification here. What do? You can go for split and merge. Don't try to calculate 65%. 65% can be taken as 50% plus 10% plus 5%. Though it looks like a lengthy process, it is actually easier. Why is it easier? Because calculating 50%, 10% and 5% is much easier than calculating 165%. 50% is half. What is half of 1,28,500? I mean, just try and do an approximate calculation. I'm sure we'll be able to eliminate some of these options here. Half of 1,28,500. Half of 1,28,000. So half of 1 lakh is 50,000. for 28,000 14,000. So 50 plus 14, 64,000. You can say 64,250. Half of 500 is 250. Plus 10 percentage. What is 10 percentage? 12,850. What is 5 percentage? Half of this, 6,425. Now just add the thousands first. See what happens. 64,000 plus 12,000 is 76,000. 76,000 plus 6,000 is 82,000. Now you know that answer is 82,000 plus something. Again, there are hundreds to be added, but 82,000 plus. Immediately option 2 and option 5 gets eliminated. Now how much more than 82,000? 250 and 850 is 1100. 1100 plus 425 is 1525. So 82,000 plus 1525. You can say exact answer is 82,525, or you know that it will be definitely more than 82,525 also. Cancelled, and it cannot be 85,125. So even if you go by elimination without doing the complete calculation, you will be able to find out that answer is option 1. Alright. Then again, there are various techniques. If you don't want to do the calculation completely, you can go for let's say, of course, unit digit method will not work here because every option is ending in 5. But what may work is digital root method. I hope all of you know about digital root method. Very, very interesting technique which comes from Vedic mathematics, right? You can work with digital roots, and without having to do any of these kind of calculations, you may be able to mark the correct answer. Alright. Of course, I don't have the scope of explaining this digital root method here in this session because we are already at 7 o'clock. We have to close it soon. But do not worry. You can watch our video on speed maths or simplifications and approximations and learn about this technique. Right? Very, very interesting technique and definitely useful in some cases. Right? Some cases there. Look at the next question. What is the percentage increase in the number of Maruti 800 from 2011 to 12? Now look at this. This is the second type from percentages. What is the percentage increase? Remember, what is the percentage increase in number of Maruti 800 from 2011 to 12? So he's talking about percentage increase. It is like percentage change. Second type or third type you can say, whichever way you look at it, right? Percentage change. Percentage change is what? Final value minus initial value by initial value into 100. Now what is the final value? Of course, the value in 2012. What value in 2012? The number of Maruti 800s in 2012. What is the initial value? The number of Maruti 800s in 2011. So you know that the answer should be final value minus initial value upon initial value into 100. Again, do not write this formula. I am just putting it here for the sake of clarity. Now what is the final value? Maruti 800 in 2012. How many were Maruti 800 in 2012? 33%. 33% of 140%. You getting it? Minus initial value. Again, we are doing it in a smart way directly. You know that in case of percentages, that 1,28,500 in the numerator and denominator will get cancelled. So don't waste your time in writing all that. We have already discussed this in first question, right? Do not write 33% off, 140% off, 1,28,500 because anyway we are going to cancel it, right? And don't even try to find out the individual values first. Finding out, number of 800s in 12, number of 800s in 11, and then finding out final minus initial by initial into 100. That would be a utter waste of time. So 33% of 140 minus initial value. How much is initial value? 25% straight away. Divided by initial value, 25% into 100. Final minus initial by initial to 100. Do the calculation and you get the answer. Yes or no? Again, you can apply that X percentage or Y percentage that we have discussed in the previous question, right? So the point that I am trying to make is, actually finding out number of Maruti 800s in 11 and that in 12 is not needed, right? And be smart. Don't even waste your time in putting that value on paper there. Just play with these real factors that can, impact this answer. Now do the calculation. 33% of 140 percentage. How much is 33%? Is approximately 1/3. I mean, you can do an approximate calculation also if you are okay with that. Otherwise, simplify that. Somebody says, can you please explain how you are taking 140%? I think you have joined late, Madan. Madan, we had discussed this in the beginning of the session or when in the introduction part of this question that he says percentage increase in 2012 is 40%. That means the total value for 2012 of Maruti cars is how much? It is 1,28,500 plus 40%. It has increased by 40%. So plus 40%. 40% of what? 40% of 1,28,500. If you take 1,28,500 common here, this is like 100% of 1,28,500 plus 40% of 1,28,500. So it comes out to be 100% plus 40% of 1,28,500, which is 140% of 1,28,500, right? That's the idea. Yeah, I think all of you have got the answer, right? 84.8. So do the calculation. Like I said, calculation is anyway your responsibility. You can do that and get the answer. Okay, you can refer to our videos on simplifications, approximations, speed maths for learning various techniques to do these things, right? Let us focus only on the data interpretation concept as such for today's session. Here's the next one. What is the average number of Maruti Omni in both the years? Now this again is simple average based question. I've told you, right? Questions can be on average. So you have to find out the average of what? The Maruti Omni in 2012 and 11 in both the years. So Omni in 2011 is 15%, right? How much is it in 2012? We have already discussed this. 15% of 140%. So 15% plus 15% of 140% divided by 2. This should be multiplied by 1,28,500. See, we have taken 128,500 as common value here, right? The number of Maruti Omni in 2011 was 15% of 1,28,500. So we are taking that out. In 2012, it was 15% of 140% of 1,28,500. And anyway, since it is average, we have to divide by 2. So that's what we can do, right? Now, what is 15% of 140%? It's like 10% plus 5%. So 21%, right? 14% plus 7%, 21%. So basically 15% plus 21%. 15% plus 21% is what? 36%. 36% by 2 is 18%. So your actual answer is 18%. 18% of what? The given value here. 128,500. Now do the calculation and you'll get the answer. You're getting it? 15% plus 15% of 140% by 2. Now 15% of 140% is like percentage of percentage, right? X percent of Y percent. So we know that it is XY by 100%. Or simply take 15% as 10% plus 5%. So 10% of 140 is 14, 5% of 140 is 7, 14 plus 7, 21, 21%. Now 15% plus 21% is 36%. 36% by 2 is 18%. 18% of 1,28,500. Now after this, again is your lookout. Again, some of you may be disappointed that why am I not doing the calculation? The simple reason here is that me doing it for you will not help. You have to do it yourself. Learn those techniques, practice every day, spend 45 to 60 minutes every day, and you'll be able to do it yourself. Anyway, I would just like to explain the best way to do this 18% calculation. A smart person will not say that this is 18%. He'll say it is 20% minus 2%. Yes or no? 18% can be taken as 20% minus 2%. And it's not two different calculations. It is the same calculation. The moment you calculate 20%, 2% is readily available, right? What is 20% of 1,28,500? 10% is 12,850. 20% is double. So 24,000 plus 1,700, which is like 25,700. Now this is 25,700. What is 25,700? 20%. 2% is 20% by 10. So 25,700 by 10 is 2,570. And again, you need not do the complete calculation here. You know that hundreds minus 70. You look at only the last parts. 700 is like 25,700 minus 2,750. From 700, when you subtract 70, or from any 100 when you subtract 70, the answer should end with 30. Yes or no? Look at the options. First eliminated, second eliminated, third eliminated, fourth eliminated. Answer has to be fifth option. Getting it? So two smart approaches here. One is, do not consider 18% as 18%. It is 20% minus 2%. Again, the moment you calculate 20%, 2% is readily available, right? 20% by 10 will give you 2%. So 25,700 by 10 is 2,570. Now, don't do the complete difference also, because unit displacement method helps here, right? All the answers are ending in 0, but look at the tens digit. 1, 4, 6, 5, 3. I know that from 100, when I subtract 70, I should be left with 30. So answer has to be fifth option. Kirti Priya says, in exam pressure, we do calculations on paper. That's what I told you, Kirti, in the first, not in the first session again, but 4 or 5 sessions back when we discussed about these 5 habits that you have to kick. I know that it is because of pressure you're doing it on calculations, but if you practice regularly every day, then you will not feel that pressure. You're feeling, that pressure in the exam, or you're getting nervous in the exam, not because you are not strong in calculations. It is because you are never confident of doing it, and that is because you never tried it, right? In fact, I had myself told in my session then that, many of us do this out of pressure, or out of low confidence. We think that let's do it on paper, but that's not the way, right? That will not help you crack the exam. Okay, next one. What is the difference between number of Maruti Gypsy in 11 and Maruti Estim in 12? Now this is a simple difference based question. You have to find out the difference between two values. What values? Gypsy is in 11. Gypsy in 11 is 10%. And Estim in 12. Where is Estim in 12? Estim in 12 is 22%. Remember, 22% of 140%. So 22% of 140%. How much is that? Of 28% plus 2.8%, 30.2%. Yes or no? Again, calculations your lookout, right? 20% of 140 is 28. 2% will be 2.8. 28 plus 2.8, 30.2. So now if you see, we have to find out the difference between Gypsy in 11 and Estim in 12. Gypsy is 10%. Estim in 12 is actually 22% of this 140, but by taking percentage of percentage, it effectively comes out to be 30.2. So now you have to take the difference between these two values only. 10% minus 30.2%. Of what? Of the same 1,28,500. Now this again is 20.2%. How much is 20%? We have just calculated, right? 25,700. So I can say approximately 25,700. Of course, 0.2% is also there, but 10% minus 30% is 20%. 20% of this is approximately 25,700. Look at the options. It should be definitely more than 25,700. So option 1, option 5 gets eliminated. How much more? 0.2% more. Remember, 0.2%. So can it be 28,000? No. Can it be 26,000? No. Or can it be 26,000? Maybe. Check. How much is it? 0.2%. See, 1% will be 1285. 0.1% is 128.5. 0.2% will be double of that. So 256, 257. So this is like 257 plus 257. What did we have to do? 20% we have calculated plus 0.2%. Again, yeah, I think 0.2% we had calculated, not needed, because 20% by 100 will give us 0.2%. So 25,700 plus 257. Looks like none of the options are satisfying. So we have committed some mistake somewhere. Find it out. 22% of 140, right? 28 plus 2. Oh, I'm sorry. This is 30.8. Sorry about this. 22%. So 28 plus 2.8, right? Although I said 28 plus 2.8, I think I added it in a wrong way, right? 28 plus 2.8 is 30.8. So 30.8. Yeah, so you'll have to add 0.8%. So 0.8%, which means into 4. So 25,700 plus another 1,000, somewhere around 26,000. Yeah, so option 2 would be the answer. Even this would get eliminated. I think the 5 questions are done. The 5 questions that were asked with these 2 pie charts. So I think, guys, the problem is simple. You have to improve on your calculations. If you are strong in your calculations, you see the type of question that we have answered. It's not complex. Just choose the right values, use the right concept, and do the calculation. What is actually time consuming and complex here is that calculation part. And that is what you have to focus on, right? So if you're thinking that data interpretation is some rocket science, no, it is not. Of course, it can be made complex. If you give 3 pie charts or complex data there, it can go complex that way. But then for anything, you need to be very strong in calculation. So I think your focus, not just from the data interpretations point of view, but in general, if you want to score more in quantitative aptitude, which is not an option, you have to score more in quantitative aptitude. You have to focus in your calculations, right? So this is one question that we have solved. I wish I could do more, but time is up. We are already late by 10 minutes. We have extended the session by 10 minutes, but then there's a lot more that you can learn, right? This is one sample. There are more than 460 videos available for all the subjects of bank exams. You can explore our online programs on our website, which is talentsprint.com/bank, right? talentsprint.com/bank. Of course, the details are also available on the same page, right? When you scroll down under the video screen, you find the other details available. So please explore our programs, and I'm sure it will be the best companion in your preparation for bank exams, right? Especially for all these IBPS exams that are coming up, because we are also doing lots of other live sessions for refreshing all these concepts for these exams. But you can join those sessions only if you enroll for the program. Okay. So just see if you are interested about it. You can explore that on our website and also reach out to us through our toll-free number. And anyways, all the very best for your exams. Remember, practice is the key, right? Continuous practice, continuous analysis of your performance, and continuous improvement, right? Simply taking mock tests again will not help, right? You have to analyze what you had done wrong and right in that mock test, and accordingly, work on your weaknesses and strengthen your strengths so that you can, come out with flying colors in these exams. So I think with that, we can close the session here. Please practice a lot till we meet in the next session, which is again coming Wednesday at 6 p.m. The details will be available in our YouTube channel and also on our Facebook page. So nothing to worry about what session it is and what time and what date and what topic and all that, right? All those details will be made available through these social media platforms that we have. But you guys keep practicing till we meet in the next session and take very good care of yourselves. See you.